Hello, welcome to this vlog. Join me while I eat my sushi and tell you about this video. I'm experimenting a little bit with this other format. I've always wanted to do a vlog, and I thought that traveling to another country would be the perfect opportunity for me to try doing a vlog style video. But because I'm just starting out, of course, I forgot to sit down and do a real intro to this video, so I'm doing this voiceover now. As you might know, I am from Hungary. I live in the Netherlands. We had a very important election on the 12th of April, so I flew back. During my time there, I made a few clips that are cute and spring vibey. So here we go. Yay! This is the story of a country at the brisk of change. This time I stayed at my sister's place, and even though she served me with the best foods, I could not complain. Her cooking is amazing. I had been craving some of this, which you can buy in the store frozen, and you have to boil it in water. It's basically filled with cottage cheese. You usually eat it with sour cream mixed with powdered sugar. It's one of my favorite foods, and I had been craving it, so I had to eat this the moment I got to the country. I arrived late at night, so the next morning I woke up refreshed, and the thing I immediately had to do was to visit a farm. And not just any farm. Well, not really a farm, but it's where I could meet a horsey, a special horsey. So I went horseback riding. I'm at the phase where I'm relearning it because I actually haven't done it in a long time. It feels foreign and familiar at the same time, which is a very interesting feeling, but I love doing it. It fills me with so much joy, and I want to pick up this hobby or sport again. So now I'm just finishing the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm at 54%. I'm just getting ready to go to my friend's place, who's gonna do some wonders with my nails because she does amazing art on nails, honestly, and that's the only reason I do this, because I don't require manicure or literally anything to be done with my nails. But the art that she makes on nails is just, wow, amazing. I am definitely going to ask her to take inspiration from the gorgeous book covers that I've been seeing lately. I'm gonna put some of them up here on the screen. Covers like The Six Crimson Cranes, many of the newer like Korean, like the God and the Gumiho and things like that. It's a very specific kind of art. I don't know how to describe it, but it looks pretty soft, flowing, and usually with like more pastel colors, but there is always one brighter, stronger color that accents the whole thing. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's amazing, it's beautiful. I think I'm gonna show her some of these covers and ask her to make some art along those lines. On the way there, I'm going to continue the Society of Witches. So far, halfway done, I'm not really sure what my opinion about it is, because it's like, it is entertaining, it is cute, it is cozy, but at the same time, maybe that's just not my thing, because I'm not that invested in the story. It's too bland maybe, but at the same time, some people say that Legends and Lattes is also pretty boring in that way. It's cozy fantasy, it's more chill. And I think compared to that, I haven't read Legends and Lattes, but based on what other people are saying, I think compared to that, this might be a bit more adventurous, cozy fantasy. So again, it's good, it's entertaining, it's cute, but I'm not dying to keep on reading, you know? I can guess with a very high certainty what's going to happen at the end of the book. So far I'm leaning towards, the 3 or 4 star rating, in the sense 4 is good, but when I give a book a 3 star rating, usually it's because it was meh, it was like mid. It entertained me for one read, but then I would probably never pick it up again. I might not remember the book or the plot or the characters in a few months. Forgettable, but it was okay while reading, it was entertaining. So I'm very much leaning towards that, and I might give it a 4 if something extraordinary and outstanding happens in the second half of the book, but otherwise it's probably going to be that cozy, solid mid. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna keep on reading, also because I think there's only 3 days left from my library loan. So Libby is going to take my book. I think in 3 days, maybe 2 now. So I have to hurry the fuck up. Okay, let's go. Okay, so I did end up finishing The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches today, and I did end up giving it 3 stars, just like I was discussing before, because even though it did have a twist at the end that I was not expecting, and it did give the book quite a good flavor, I didn't think it was enough to salvage the whole book, because for most of the book I don't even know how to phrase it. I was just kind of tagging along, I guess, and I wasn't that involved or interested in the story. Also, the book focused more on the romance that I was expecting, so it was rather a romance-focused, cozy fantasy kind of. The children were super cute though, and it was a good story, so give it a read once in your life, but don't expect world-altering insights or something. It's just cute and cozy. If you know where to place it, it's good. After that, I went for the last horseback riding lesson, because I'm crazy like that. After that, thankfully, my dad could pick me up because he was going back home from the south side of Hungary. It was on the way for him, sort of. And we had a long journey ahead of us to the northern part of Hungary so that I could visit my family as well. If you see a lot of these posters on the way, on the streets, I tried to cut as many of them as I could because they're just not very aesthetically pleasing. But these posters are important for the reason I went home at all. in this period because of the important elections, and these posters are political. They portray always a different political candidate that you could vote for, and in my opinion there was a crazy amount of them during this election period in Hungary. Sometimes multiple of these posters on one poll. I think that is not healthy. You only see a few of them here because I tried to edit them out because they're just not pretty and they take away from the landscapes, which are in fact pretty. When we finally arrived to my hometown, I settled in a little bit. First had to check out my mother's garden, which she's obsessed about, but after that I immediately got to reading my next book in the quiet sanctuary of the green and blooming spring garden. Oh, I just love spring so much, so much. The thing is, I'm not enjoying it as much as I could be. You know, when you're like, you just can't put the book down because it keeps you so engaged that you just want to go on and on and on. I don't feel it with this one yet, but keep in mind, I'm not very far along. I have read 6% and I'm still getting used to it. Maybe if I got used to it, when I get used to it, it will be completely fine. But until then, I just have to force myself a little bit. But that is usually the case with books. Even the books that I end up liking the most, at first I have to kind of force myself a little bit. I don't know why that happens. I think it didn't used to go like that. But now for some reason, maybe because now there are many more platforms fighting for my attention. Could be one reason. Anyway, we go on. And then today is a work day, so my mother had to go to work. But me, being the diligent daughter, I asked her yesterday what I can help with in the garden, and she always has a project, so I knew I wouldn't be left hanging. This time I had to rearrange this little flower bed area. First I have to move this huge pot just a tiny bit so that it's not right up on the fence. It is terribly heavy. I'm giving it all my strength to be able to move it even a tiny millimeter. This is the side or back of the whole garden, but this is the area that we actually see most often. And my mom has this vision of creating this little space for flowers. She wants to put them in this raised flower bed so she can reuse this yellow fence. And if I do this now, then she can move on to the garden where she actually loves to work. I'm putting some planks up at some parts of the little fence so that it doesn't topple over and it stays in place. I have to make sure that they are well spaced and as close to the little fence as possible. And then I'm hammering them down so that they are deeper in the ground. It's also more secure because of the height, and it's pretty difficult to hammer the planks down. I had to take some times to rest in between, which is fine. I'm using these tie wraps to fasten them to their place. I'm tying the planks to one or two planks of the fence. My mom tried it in a different way before this, but now she instructed me to do it this way because the other way didn't really work, or even if it worked, it was a lot of hassle. So it's just much easier to use these tie wraps that she already had lying around. Surefire way to keep them in place. And then comes the hard part, where I have to shovel the dirt into the flower bed. I thought this would be the most fun because I get to be bare feet, walking back and forth. It's a bit more movement and not just crouching. But it actually turned out to be a bit difficult because of how dry and how difficult to move the earth is here. So I was struggling with even just getting the shovel into the dirt. And I had to take some times to rest, which is fine because I'm not here for slavery. I'm here to enjoy my time. I can do whatever that makes me enjoy it. After all, it took me about the whole afternoon to complete this whole project for my mom. I ended up filling up the flower bed with the dirt, and it looked quite amazing just because I put the effort into it on its own. I don't think it would look very amazing until my mom puts the flowers in the bed. It's so late, but I did end up finishing the Society of Witches, whatever the order is, like Irregular Witches, very secret Society of Irregular Witches. Yeah, that sounds right. So I did end up finishing it literally a few moments before it expired. Right after the moment, I skipped through the acknowledgements and closed the book on my Kobo. I got the notification. This book has expired and has been returned to your library. Okay, good timing. So yeah, I was actually able to finish the book. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I think I told you that I thought that I would be giving it 3-star rating because I usually give 3 stars to books that I enjoy reading once and would probably forget afterwards. These books usually don't leave such a big impact on me, but they were fun while I was engaging with them. It was kind of like that. I think I told you that I was expecting a certain outcome around halfway and I was pretty sure that I could guess what would happen in the end. I was 90% or 80% right. There was one twist that I didn't see coming. I could have, I guess, but not very likely. Because of that shock value, I was actually debating whether I should give it a 4-star rating instead. I ended up deciding on the midway point, so I think I will give it a 3-star rating just because it was enjoyable and okay. Maybe I would remember the story and the characters for a little while longer than I would usually for these types of books, but still, when it comes to my end of the year wrap up and I think through all the books that I read during this year, I'm not sure I would remember most of the story, but it was really cool. Happy ending as usual for these types of books. Pretty cozy. I'm satisfied, honestly. But at the moment, I will have to start reading an arc because I'm running out of time and I'm really bad at managing reading the arcs that I got approved for my physical books and my digital loans from Libby. These are the 3 types of books that I have to read, quote unquote, because I'm not forced, but for NetGalley, for the arcs, I kind of have an obligation, and with Libby, I have to read them because I already took them out, and also I'm interested, and same for the physical books, I already have them, so I kind of feel the obligation to read them. So now I feel like I want to read everything at once, because I'm so interested in all the books that I either physically own or got approved for or are on my holds list on Libby. Can I just read everything at once? Can we just stop the time for a bit so that I don't have any other responsibilities and I can just go and read for days, please? Anyway, I'm gonna have to start with an arc. The Hero by Donna Grant. It's not much to look at for the moment. I think the cover is to come. I requested this book because I was craving some romance. Well, since then, it has kind of passed. So I'm not sure if it's the right time for me to read it, but I mean, it's spring. What better time for romance, right? So the synopsis says, some threats never stay buried, and some loves never let go. In bold and italics. When violence strikes close to home, Navy SEAL Owen Loveman is forced to return to the one place and the one woman he never truly escaped. Owen lives in the shadows, trained to survive anywhere in the world and eliminate threats without hesitation. Control is his weapon. Distance is his armor. But Natalie Dixon has always been the one weakness he couldn't escape. Okay, sure. Let's get into it. And mind you, this is not a very big book, okay? So I should be finished with it in a few days, I guess, if I'm not distracted by something else. It starts with a prologue with some more butterflies. The prologue is in late July. Oh my gosh. I'm already cringing a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't start reading this late, but it's like 2 a.m. or something. Natalie smoothed her wind-blown hair from her face as she entered the restaurant in downtown Dallas. Dakota's had superb steaks, and it also happened to be one of her favorite places. She was seated at a table for 2 near the vast windows while she tried to contain her anxiety. Pulling out a compact from her purse, she checked her makeup and hair for something to do while she waited. Ever since the phone call 2 days ago, she'd been antsy. She had no idea why she agreed to the meeting or why the hell she was a ball of nerves. Liar. Natalie briefly closed her eyes and sighed. 14 years hadn't dulled her feelings. Everyone said it was just a high school fling she would soon forget. To help her get over it, her mother attempted to push her to marry into Dallas society. Natalie's answer was to leave Texas altogether for college. That's where her life took a drastic turn and opened a plethora of possibilities. Somehow, she found herself back in Dallas. It still made her shake her head in wonder, though she loved her job. It was the only thing in her life she did enjoy. 2 things right off the bat. I find that last sentence structure a little bit weird. Somehow, she found herself back in Dallas, period. It still made her shake her head in wonder, period. Though she loved her job, period. I find that a bit chunky, I find it a bit weird. But also, did we just learn her entire life story in a nutshell in 2 pages? In the first 2 pages in the prologue? That's a choice. Natalie. She looked up to find a tall man with cowboy boots, starched jeans, a white button-down shirt, and a grey tweed sports coat standing at her table. I suppose he's a cowboy. Did he mention that he's wearing cowboy stuff? Atop his head of dark hair was a black Stetson. He hastily removed the cowboy hat and held it against his chest as he shot her a charming smile. Darling, why do I always do a British accent when I want to do like the Texas accent? Anyway, I'm not gonna attempt. Darling, you've only gotten prettier, if that's possible. She smiled and started to rise when he placed a kiss on her cheek. Natalie motioned to the chair. Orin Loffman, you're still a flirt. Please sit. He pulled out the chair and lowered his tall frame into it before he bent and rested his Stetson top down on the floor. A quick glance showed that despite being in his 50s, Orin looked better than most men in their 30s. When he straightened, his gold eyes caught and held hers. I suppose he's not the love interest, right? Because he's in his 50s. The waiter's arrival halted any more talk. Once their drink order had been placed, the waiter walked away. I bet you're wondering why I wanted to meet, Orin said. The smile slipped. His tanned face had more lines of strain and worry than she remembered. His hair, so dark brown it was nearly black, now sported grey at the temples. But it didn't detract. If anything, it made Orin even more handsome. Natalie nodded at his statement. It wasn't as if you were at the ranch a lot. We rarely talked in the year I dated Owen. Orin began to speak but hesitated when the waiter appeared with their drinks. He accepted his bourbon with a nod while Natalie slowly twirled the stem of her wine glass. She hated that she'd brought up Owen. She'd sworn she wouldn't. But when it came to Owen, her mind and heart did as they pleased. My son was a fool to let you go, Orin stated. So, okay, she's meeting Papa Dearest. But the thought I had when I just read the first sentence where Owen was mentioned, my immediate thought was, and it still stands, if you're called Orin, which is already a weird-ass made-up sounding name, by the way, especially for a millennial, who's called Orin. But then, if you're called Orin, why would you go ahead and name your son Owen? Like, choose any other name, literally, that doesn't start with an O. Shouldn't be that hard. After one last riding lesson that I forced into my schedule because I really wanted it to work, it was time for me to go home. Even though I enjoyed this trip immensely, there is a sad reality that all trips have to come to an end at some point. My trip ended now. I'm hopping on a train to travel back to the Netherlands to my everyday life. We did end up changing our political landscape, which you might have seen in the news, and I have huge hopes for our new government. Well, this was it for now. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye!